was going to ask was if anybody would be willing to take minutes. I created a Google Doc. I sent the link through the chat for somebody who would be willing to just jot down some notes as we're talking today, and then those can be our minutes for the session. Do we have any volunteers for that? Thanks, Lois. Great. Thanks, Kristen. Let me know if you can't get into the Google Doc link. It should let you like get in there and start editing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So just very quickly, I want to introduce myself. Hi, everybody. My name is Lakshmi Putnam. I'm a research and instructional librarian at Towson University in Baltimore, Maryland, and I've been on this committee, I think, since 2014. I don't remember anymore. And I'm was co-chair last year with Bonnie, and Bonnie has stepped down and is no longer on the committee with us. And my new co-chair is Sherry Turner. So thank you so much for co-chairing with me, Sherry. I'm looking forward to this year. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. The next thing on the agenda is some general information about the committee. So you can see the committee's charge here on this website from ACRL STS Information Literacy site. Also, remember that if you log in to that site, you can view everybody's emails there, and so that is a way for you to check to see what email is listed there as your email. So I did want to ask everybody to double check the email that's listed there, because that's what I've made my email list off of. It did look like most people responded to the messages that I sent out. I think one came back to me as not working anymore, so I'm still trying to track down that person. But
that same problem with the same person who is not here today, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. I haven't had any luck trying to figure that out, so I don't know. I think it was Andrea, right?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So we might need to do some sleuthing to try to figure out if she's still on the committee, what her new email address is, that kind of thing. But please do double check the email that you have there, or if that's not the email that you want me to use, please feel free to contact me. I'm going to put my email in here. Please feel free to contact me and let me know if the email that is listed there is not the email that you want used and you want me to use a different one. I know when I first started, I had it connected to my Gmail, and then I realized quickly that that wasn't one that I checked enough. So I actually finally updated it to my work email, which is one that I was actually checking every day. So please let me know. Anybody here who's here want to confirm or change their email in this moment? Great. Great. Okay. And also on that site, just to quickly go over the charge for the Information Literacy Committee. So it's to provide, evaluate, and or develop resources for advancing information literacy in science and engineering, e.g. models for assessing student performance, teaching methods, instructional design, and tips for working with faculty on instruction-related issues. To serve as a liaison to other instruction-oriented groups as appropriate, and then as the committee chair serves as a liaison to the ACRL Information Literacy Advisory Committee and is a member of the STS Council. So we also try to keep in touch with the rest of STS to make sure that all of us within this committee understands what's going on in the larger committees around us. So what does that actually mean? So for this committee, we don't have any in-person meetings. We do have a virtual meeting this time of year, one at ALA Midwinter and one at Annual. Some of us do attend those conferences, though, so if people are in attendance, we will get together or try to have somebody there at the STS all committee meeting, so that we have sort of a meeting point if we happen to want to meet up and touch base. But there's no requirement to attend any of the conferences, just the 3 virtual committee meetings. And then depending on the subcommittee that you join, then there will be varying levels of commitment there, or email meetings, or additional for the chat committee, like webinars and some stuff like that. So just keep that in mind, that there's no requirement to do the in-person meetings, just the virtual meetings. For our subcommittees, we have 2 subcommittees. We have the chat subcommittee, which I chair, and the resource guide committee, which Sherry chairs. So if you go online to this LibGuide, this is the LibGuide for the chat subcommittee. And the chat subcommittee basically runs or tries to run regular webinars. We don't necessarily do them every month, though we try to do that if we can get them scheduled that far ahead. We do the webinars on information literacy topics relevant to science librarians. So you can also see there an archive of the past chats that we've had, and we also archive the slides for the slides for the session, and the chat archive as well. So I think I was considering for this year, potentially, because STS is sort of getting on board with the new framework, that maybe we might want to put out like a call for people to come in and chat come into the regular chats and hold a session on how their library or how their science library is using the framework. Just to have some examples potentially for people to come in and listen to. I haven't actually finalized that with my chat subcommittee yet, because I wanted to give all the new members a chance to join up with the various subcommittees, but that was sort of an idea that I was kicking around in my head. But we'll see if that pans out, or if the subcommittee wants to do that. Otherwise, we've previously sort of depended on the members of the subcommittee to either present information or information literacy stuff that they're working on, or generate ideas of who I can reach out to, or who we can reach out to invite to speak for the chat chat webinars that we hold every month or so. So we'll see if that pans out. I don't know if anybody here wants to chime in on whether that might be a good idea or not. I think there's been more and more movement for something to happen with the framework formally with STS, so it will be interesting to see if we do the webinars on that, if that would mesh well with what other things STS is trying to do. And then I'll let Sherry talk about the resource guide subcommittee.
Sure. So let me just copy in the URL for our guide there. And as you might expect, the Resources Committee is a lot more about putting something on the web for people to use, and less about the whole communication aspect. So you can see some of what we've got up on that page. We try to cover just broadly the topics that science librarians care about information literacy. So you'll see a broad range of information. I think the challenge there is really keeping it to a level that is readable and actually usable. So that's the thing we continually struggle with. We also have some goals in mind for next year, but just like Lakshmi said, those are all kind of pending what the new committee wants to do. But some of the ones that I've been thinking about are working on incorporating resources that come up in the chats, because that does happen very, very regularly, into the guides, and hopefully doing it more quickly than we're doing now. We're currently on an update cycle where we update really like once a year, and that's probably not often enough. We also last year created a feedback form to get information about suggested resources and things like that from the rest of STS. We've actually already got, I think, 2 or 3 responses to that come from outside the committee. So there's some information coming in there, and we need to figure out how we want to incorporate that into the guide. And then finally, we are also thinking about doing some more work on our assessment tab because there has been so much work on improving the way that we do instruction assessment. We can definitely improve the information that we're putting out there. And for that, I'm thinking maybe we ought to reach out to the assessment committee for STS.
Thanks, Sherry.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Not particularly. As I said, I think for both of these subcommittees, the real key is going to be getting everybody signed up to one of the subcommittees so that we can talk in those smaller groups about what our goals should be.
Yeah, for sure. I think you guys, so the next two links that are listed in the agenda are the final year reports for the past, for the two committees. So those would give a sense for like what we've just sort of summarized here, but those are a more exhaustive list of what the resource subcommittee and the chat subcommittee have done for the past year. So feel free to take a look at those if you want to get a sense for what either of those two subcommittees do. And of course, the two LibGuides that we just shared are clearly not LibGuides hosted by ACRL, but ACRL is eventually getting its own LibGuides. So that might also be a task for both groups to work on, is once ACRL figures out the new LibGuide system. I'm not really sure. We'll have to report back on that. But once it does get created, we're going to have to move our content over. So that migration is also probably going to be something that the subcommittees at some point are going to be working on. I haven't had a clear sense of when the LibGuides are actually, like, I think they're trying to figure out who's going to be responsible for sort of supervising the LibGuides. But once that gets figured out, both committees will probably be working on that. Yeah, Sherry?
The new members, it's not so much that we have to move them, but that it would be a lot simpler to manage them on one platform, that we don't have to get access for new people from an institution every year. So it's because...
Yes, I agree. So literally last year it took me almost 6 months to get access to the LibGuide to finally start updating it. So it would be a lot easier. Yeah, it would be a lot easier if ACRL has their own LibGuides and they create some way for the various committees and groups to access those LibGuides in a way that doesn't require, you know, like we had to go through Indiana University's like system and get somebody to give us permission and like all this stuff, right? So I think it would be maybe easier if ACRL had a handle on it and could just grant access maybe to the various chairs or whoever runs the various committees. So yes, I agree. It was kind of a pain. So I did want to encourage all the new members and old members to figure out if they wanted to stay in the committees that they're already working on or where you wanted to join. So after this meeting, I'll probably send out an email asking everybody to pick. And hopefully it'll be an even split. If not, I'm not sure. I think when I send out the email, I'll let everybody know like that there's like however many open slots for each committee, and then first come, first serve. We'll try that. But hopefully there'll be an even split of people who want to be on either committee. I think last year that's kind of how it worked out anyway.
Yes, it was very
yeah. Yeah, so please feel free to look at the reports, figure out which subcommittee you want to work on, which one you think you're interested in, and join one. It's always great to have an active group of people who are wanting to do something more within their subcommittee. So I encourage everybody to join. Oh, David already says he's interested in Sherry's, so there you go. One for Sherry, yay! Okay, and then the last bit is just the sharing of news. So if anybody wants to let everybody know what's going on, I can let you know that I literally just yesterday submitted my dossier for permanent status. So yay!
That's a big one.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Thanks, everybody. But yeah, let us know what else is everybody else up to.
I have one that maybe is happening. We're trying to do some work around tying student success data into all sorts of things, including instruction data. So that is going to be my baby project for the next probably year or so, and we'll see how it goes.
Oh, that sounds cool. So actually our advising on campus just got a hold of this new student stuff that they can use to pull student data so that when they're advising they can see what classes are they doing good or bad in and stuff like that. And it's not public, of course. But the exciting thing that the library was immediately ooh, can we use that to potentially see which students are taking library or getting classes that are in libraries and then seeing their student success. So yeah, that's always data that everybody wants to kind of get their hands on for sure. That sounds awesome. Anybody else? You guys can feel free to get on the mics too if you want.
This is Margaret. I'll share. Can you guys hear me? Okay, so I was just going to share that I've been working on, I'm co-teaching an engineering technical communication class this fall. It's a nuclear engineering course, and so I've been working on updating that material, trying to look a little bit deeper at the framework. So if you do go down that route with the chat subcommittee, that might be something I could contribute.
Ooh, yes, totally. I love that.
Actually, I had a question. There was at council, I believe there was a group created to address the framework. Is that a subgroup of this group, or is it completely separate? I was a little unclear.
Yeah, so it's not a charge for this committee. I think that they are making a separate task force or group that it's going to be bringing together a lot of various people in order to work more directly on creating whatever it is that they want to create that matches with the framework.
Okay.
Yeah. I went to ALA and I attended one session that talked about what other groups had done, and it looks pretty interesting. I think it's funny because I think STS was one of the first groups that created something to match with the old stuff, but now is lagging behind in creating something to match with the new framework. So it should be interesting to see what they come up with for sure.
Yes, and that kind of led to a question for me actually. Laxmi, do you know if they've actually appointed that task force yet? I know that they've been talking about it, but I haven't heard of it actually being a thing yet.
Yeah, I haven't heard them actually put out a call. I feel like...
Actually, yeah. I think the chair sent it out around the time of ALA.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me because I know that they were saying, okay, we're going to do this. We have to figure it out. I feel like they're kind of on the fence about how it's going to happen, but I think that they are doing it for sure this year. So
I had followed up with that. I think it was with the chair of STS, and he'd kind of indicated that they were waiting maybe to be kind of next in line to kind of see what happens with some of these other groups that they're.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, that's definitely something that I think that's why I wanted to maybe make the chats relevant to the framework or something, because it would be nice to match up with whatever they're trying to do, for sure. Anybody else want to share some news? Thank you, Kristen, for taking notes. I know you've been jotting down notes while we've been chatting.
You're welcome. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
cool.
I can.
Yeah, we did something here at the university, or some of the other librarians here at the University of Minnesota did something with the framework earlier in the year that was interesting. And it sounds like some of us are hoping to take parts of it and bring it into instruction, but it was looking at really kind of focusing on the framework through the lens of diversity. And so they had brought what they called a source deck of cards with each one had information from various types of sources on a particular event. And because the focus was on diversity, it was on the unfortunate shootings in Ferguson. And so some of it was, it was like newspaper reports, police reports, tweets, some older works that had scholarly works that had been written about race relationships, and so we did a bunch of various activities of, okay, try and put all these sources in, like in a timeline. What's a secondary source versus a primary source? But it was all kind of focused on the framework and through diversity, but things like really kind of looking at authority as contextual. It was really interesting, and like I said, I think some people are hoping to bring it into teaching, into some of our library classes. So if we do, that might be something that could be interesting for chat.
For sure, that sounds awesome. I love that, and it's a lot of opportunity to reach out across campus, and sort of get that involvement from not just the libraries doing it, but like everybody across campus is doing it. So yeah, for sure. Okay, I think that wraps it up. Can we adjourn? I don't know any of the proper terminology, sorry.
I think that means we're ready.
Okay, sounds like we're ready. Thanks, everybody. That was short and sweet, and hopefully when I send out an email, we'll get people to sign up for the subcommittee that they're interested in, and we'll go from there. And we'll hear from each other again at midwinter, and good luck with your fall semesters if that's what's starting for you. Thanks, everybody.